Hey, how's it going? davidinark here, and I just picked up a Gigabyte GTX 1660 OC 16 gig version. There you go. We're going to unbox this puppy in just a moment. So the first thing I did, currently in my machine, I've got a Gigabyte 1070 ITX. It's a mini. It's also an OC version. Now it's got 8 gigs of memory, and I ran a Nova Bench on this. So let me switch screens here just a second. All right, so here we have my Nova Bench results for my 1070 GTX. All right, everything else is going to stay the same. Wait a minute. Let me put the camera on me. There. How about that? I know what I'm doing. No, I don't. All right. So anyway, here's what we got going on. All right. So my Nova Bench score is 2637. I've got my Ryzen 7 1700X, the GeForce GTX 1070, and you'll see that it's got the Nova Bench score of 2637. The CPU score, that should stay the same. The RAM score should stay the same. The disk score will stay the same. And this disk score is awful because the mechanical hard drives that I have in the machine really drag it down. And the SSD I have, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is. That may be listed in here somewhere. But anyway, it's older, it's slower, whatever. Anyhow, what I'm mostly interested in is I want to compare the GTX 1070 to the Gigabyte GTX 1660 just to see how the two compare in my own machine. I'm kind of curious. I want to see what's happened. But before we get to all of that, by the way, this Nova Bench is a free download compared to a mid-level gaming machine, which is a Ryzen 7 1700X, i.e. the same machine I have, running a GeForce GTX 1070, i.e. the same machine I have. My overall score for a mid-level gaming machine of the same comparable configuration, my overall score is 47% higher. My CPU score is smoking, 136% higher. I don't know why. I mean, it's exactly the same CPU you're comparing to, but whatever. But notice my GPU score is 12% lower. That's interesting. So there's I guess maybe some weird stuff going on. Maybe we got some stuff running in the background that's I don't know, eating into my GPU. I don't know why that would be. So before we move ahead, I want to open up this bad boy. Let me switch to full camera mode here. I want to unbox this bad boy because I have not done anything to it with it at all. I've not even cracked it open, and evidently I'm not going to. There we go. So let's see what we have here. What we have here inside is, well, the CPU. It's not CPU, the GPU. Beep, beep. Inside is the GPU. All right. So we pull this bad boy out. Oh, that is a big honking quality. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Gigabyte certified quality right there. So it's certified quality. It's not just regular quality. They certify the quality of the equipment inside this here bag. Remember that. I don't know what difference it makes. We'll open that in just a second. In the meantime, left inside here, we have this little pull-out styrofoam. Well, not styrofoam, but, anti-static foam stuff. And then this big giant box for itty-bitty instruction manual. So we have the instruction manual, and we have a Gigabyte CD or DVD or whatever. Anyway, it's got the drivers and utilities. Now, I will tell you that I am running the most current version of GeForce drivers on my machine. So I'm probably not going to install the CD at this point, although there may be some enhancements that the drivers provide. But right now I'm just running the stock GeForce drivers that you can get online. So now let's say we bust open this bad boy. Ooh, look at there. Ooh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There you go. So with this particular card, you get 3 DisplayPort connections and 1 HDMI. Now, the monitor I have is an AOC FreeSync 144, but my display cable burned out. I didn't even know that was a thing. So if you get a DisplayPort monitor with DisplayPort cable, you want to watch that. Make sure you get the better grade DisplayPort cables because evidently they will burn out. So right now I'm just running HDMI, but this is that's pretty nice. So just kind of showing you there. We've got the 8 plug power for the card. It's got dual fans on there. Just so you can see, you know, it's a pretty decent sized hunk of metal and plastic. So I am going to shut all this down. We're going to install this bad boy. I'll let it do its thing. And then I want to come back and rerun NovaBench just to see what NovaBench has to say. At some point, I would love to run something like 3D Mark, but my internet is being so slow and goofy today that's just not going to happen. It'll take me like 8 hours to download the 3D Mark software. So I may do that on another day. Maybe I'll download it from the office or something. Don't tell the boss. But anyhow, so let's get this installed and go from there. Okay. I finally got the 1660 installed. Installing the hardware was a piece of cake. You just throw it in the slot, you call it good. But it turns out I did not actually have the very latest NVIDIA drivers, and that led to all kinds of issues. In fact, when I rebooted the computer, it was stuck in 640 by 480 or whatever the lowest is now these days. When I tried to install the driver that I had, which was the 419.17, the driver would pop up and say, sorry, there's no compatible hardware. It's the wrong version of Windows. I mean, it was all crazy. So eventually I used DDU, which is the display driver uninstaller. It's a free utility. You go grab it. Uninstalled all of the video drivers off of the system and downloaded. I went to the Gigabyte website, and it actually directed me to get the latest NVIDIA driver, which is 41963 or 64, maybe it's 36. I don't know, whatever it is. Whatever it is, it's the latest one. And that actually let me install the 1660 driver. So let's take a look and see just what we have here. What we have is very interesting from my perspective. Okay, so the overall NovaBench score is 2622. Well, the other score that we had was 2637. So not that far off. And then we look at other scores. The GPU score here is 786. Again, this is for the 1660. Well, for the 1070, it was 790. So it was only 4 points difference on the GPU score. And then over here, comparing it to the mid-level gaming PC, the overall score is 46% higher with the 1660. With the 1070, it was 47% higher. The CPU score, pretty much the same, and then the GPU score here is 13% lower than this mid-level gaming machine. With the 1070, it was 12% lower. So what does all this mean kind of in English? Here's what it means to me. What I see is if you don't already have a 10 series GTX card, if you're looking for an NVIDIA card and you are running something, maybe you're running an OEM card or you're running a 580 or 590 or something like that, and you are looking to upgrade and bump up to something more modern, something that's newer, and you don't feel like dropping down the money for a 1070 or, I would say a 1070. This is pretty close to a 1070. I don't know the benchmarks for the 1660 versus a 1060, but I would bet it bests the 1060 because it almost gets to the 1070. I would say the 1660 is actually not a bad get. Real quickly, I am curious. Okay, so I'm on Amazon, and so the prices you see are as of today, April 1st, 2019. I'm not doing a April Fool's thing we're just doing this. All right. So these prices are actually pretty close to what the 1660 is, or at least for what I paid for the 1660. I paid about 220 bucks for the 1660 that I got. Now, actually, so that's a 1060 for 218. But this is pretty much the exact card I got. And here it's 220. Like I said, I paid about 220 for the one that I picked up. So what I would say is that if you don't already have a 10 series card, rather than basically accepting a 1060, and rather than forking out the money for a 1070, it looks to me like a 1660 would pretty much be on par with, with a card that is budget friendly and is actually going to do you good. I'm actually running, it's running 1080p here. It's all well and good. I'll tell you what, just for the sake of argument, let's jump into some Beamng Drive and just see what it looks like. So let's try that. All right. So I jumped in here. I turned off the camera because I want to compare this to how I normally would play Beamng. So I'm curious. I'm just going to hit the accelerator. We're kind of doing a mini little card jump arena thing here, right? Yeah, I mean, it's not stuttering. It's not anything noticeable anyway. This is all 1080p. I should have paid a little more attention to see how it was drawing stuff in the distance. That actually looks pretty decent. Also got a decent landing. I did that. That was my bad. Sorry. Oh, skidding to a halt, and the engine is broken. But yeah, I mean, this, I can jump around and spin around, and it seems to be doing okay. Oh, there's a little bit of a stutter. Then again, my 1070 is already doing that as well, so I can't necessarily blame that on the video card. If you watch some of the videos, especially since about Christmas for whatever crazy reason, my recording has started to do that. But I'm recording this. We are playing the game. It's driving, I would say, pretty well. I mean, honestly, really no different for me than my 1070. Now that's on the car jump arena. I am curious. I'm going to jump out to Italy because Italy is huge. So I just want to see. No, I don't want scenarios, man. What am I doing? I just want to see what happens when we pop into Italy with the 1660. Okay, so I wanted to grab this as soon as it started loading in because I wanted to see how quickly it would start loading things before it would get all kinds of wacky and weird and all that. But actually, when the screen came up, it was loaded in. It was doing just fine. Even on my 1070, it's gotten to where it has to, the drawing for my 1070 takes it a moment or two before I can actually do anything. I think that is more symptomatic of the particular 1070 that I have than anything else. But, I mean, so far as I can tell, we're driving along pretty good here. Cruising through the countryside in Italy. There are some interesting drawing things. Oh, there was a little bit of lag. There's a tree. Thanks. So it's got a little bit of issues. I was trying to look off in the distance and see how the draw distance is going. Yeah, it kind of fills in things. So I'm not so sure that this can quite keep up with some of the drawing aspects, the rendering aspects of the 1070. But then again, it's like, what, $100 cheaper or more. So there is that. But I mean, it's, as far as I can tell, it's doing a pretty good job of cruising around Italy. Okay, so my initial reaction was that this would be the 1660 would be a great card if you don't already have a 10 series. And I still kind of hold true to that. If you have an OEM card that came with your machine, or if you've got a non-10 series NVIDIA card and you're wanting a 10 series style, especially the lower end, 1060, 1070, if you're not going to be recording and you're just going to be playing games, then this actually works out pretty well. But I was surprised by the fuzziness and the artifacting that was going on with the 1660 while I was playing, because while I was, actually after I had recorded, because while I was playing, I'm telling you, it looked beautiful. It was 1080p, and yeah, there was a few stutters here and there, but I mean, it was gorgeous. I didn't see any of that. Looking at the recording, evidently this card can't keep up with doing both, or at least not the way I have things set up with my recording here. Now, I will tell you that although I record in 1080p, I have to dumb everything down to 720p because it takes way too long to upload and process and all that kind of stuff otherwise. Yeah, so again, I don't know, I kind of got mixed feelings now. If you are looking to put the card into something that is not already running a 10 series, then yeah, would I get this? And also, if you're not planning on like recording or streaming, would I get this if I already have a 1070? No, I have a 1070. No, I'm putting the 1070 back in the box. But I have my old gaming machine. It's an i7 4770, and it needs a video card. So I think the 1660 will be perfect for that. And I'll either use that as a secondary gaming machine or use it to do the processing while I'm recording other stuff on this machine. I don't know. I'll just wait and see. But anyhow, those are just my kind of first thoughts, my gut reactions. Let me know what your thoughts are. You got any questions, problems, suggestions, horror stories? Feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed a kind of a first look unboxing of a GTX 1660. We'll see you next time.